Hello and welcome back to ELT Under the Covers. Today we will be looking at our follow-up to our Indian React video, where we looked at some more funny film viral video kind of Indian clips. We're actually going to follow that up with a classroom example from British Council India. And we, as English language teaching professionals, are going to watch this class of this Indian lady teaching English, and we are going to, give our thoughts on that, the good and the bad of that particular lesson. But before we do that, let's go into some introductions. Hi, I am Neil, teacher of Team Teacher Thame, and I am here today with the all-powerful Rich.
Hello, my name's Chris, Crispy Chris, reporting on behalf of Crispy Chris English, crispychrisenglish.com.
Any affiliation with Toffee Crisp?
Imagine if there really is a Crispy Chris English. They're just getting free promo from one of the top English language teaching podcasts on the internet. I think we're ranked #1 for English language teachers react.
Obviously, that it's based on a feeling that I have. I've not really looked at any analytics, but totally.
It's also based on the fact that I don't think there are any other English language teachers react. But there you go. So British Council. So this is a British Council teacher. Looks like they've gone into a local school, which is something that they do sometimes. That they operate within the school because the kids are in.
Rich actually has a background with the British Council. If you want to elaborate on maybe that, and like kind of how British Council kind of works, so we've got a better idea of what to expect.
Well, I mean, they do work in different ways for different centres, but they're a pretty old institution that established themselves very well. They have relatively very high working conditions for their teachers, although that also does vary centre to centre. But they tend to be very good with professional development for teachers, and also salary enumeration for teachers as well tends to be the best in the area. In fact, I think it's quite rare. Maybe in the UAE and places like that, it's a bit different. In fact, I know for a fact they don't pay the best in the UAE, but in a majority of countries they do. So they get the kind of top teachers. Teachers compete for roles in British Council institutions normally. And as for how they work locally, well, it does, like I say, it does depend. But I know that they do sometimes go into local schools, and what they'll do is they'll have a deal with that school where part of the building kind of becomes almost like a branch of the British Council. And what they'll do is they'll have the adult centre separate, and then they'll have like that young learner centre will be based in the school. And I'm not really sure the details of how they work that out, but as we're going to see in this clip, the kids here are actually all wearing school uniforms, so obviously they're probably coming straight from school classes to go into a British Council class. And I think we should have pretty high standards for this. I mean, in general, you would expect British Council teachers to be highly competent, and if this is a video which in fact the British Council have put online themselves, then even more so. I know, as from working there, that the expectations are quite high, and on you as a teacher as well. They make you feel that way, that you are, and you should feel that way, because actually the kids that are going to these schools are paying a lot of money for the classes, and it's easy to think, oh well, they're all going to be from rich families and stuff like that, and that actually does tend to be the case, but it's not true for all of them. You do get those kids who you can see that this is a big thing for their parents. They've chosen to send their kids to the British Council, and it's not just something that they're doing. They don't have to think about that cost. So the students that are paying that, you have to think some of them are sacrificing a lot for that. So they do deserve a good quality of teaching, and And all the if you work for the British Council, all the resources are there for you to make that happen. You've got the inset training pretty much every week. You've got access to libraries of English resources. You've got the other teachers there who, in my experience, there's that you could in a teacher's room, you can expect people to give you input and help you, and there are people who are. I know that the British councils also do have a reputation, as do many places, for kind of older, burnt out teachers who are. But actually, on the whole, I've found that most people are willing to, engage in a positive way about teaching. It's the minority that are, kind of
A bit too endentious.
yeah, like a bit asinine, is that the right word? About teaching. I don't know if that's the right word. But so therefore there's a lot of elements that would make us expect this to be a good class. And also it's a primary class, right, which we haven't really looked at on this show before.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited for it because the majority of my background is dealing more with primary younger learners within public schools. Well, kind of an equal divide, public school and private school. And with the British Council, when I always imagine it in equivalent to like soccer, football, and like the Premier League. And basically what you have here is like British Council would be the equivalent of like a Manchester United or Liverpool. They've built up this incredible brand. They have this idea of how they play. There's expectations if you were to become one of those players that you are an elite. And whether that's true or not, or if it's just really good branding over a long period of time. Well, we'll just find out right now.
It's definitely not true across the board. You definitely do get bad teachers there. There's no doubt about that. But I would say on average, the teaching quality, in my experience, the teaching quality is much higher there. I mean, I've observed loads of teachers there because they encourage that kind of stuff, and the various different professional development certificates. Like when I did the TILEC, I had to observe 10 hours of other teachers teaching young learners. And I can validate that across the board that the teaching quality is much higher than it would just be any random academy. But yeah, of course, you still get bad teachers. So I guess we're going to find out now if this lady's one of them, which would be quite unfortunate.
Yeah, and this clip is actually from the British Council India YouTube channel. So it's what they've uploaded. It's the official channel. So we're expecting gold.
Yes, accommodate both the rows.
Okay.
Yes, come on. Sit in on your groups. Vegetables, come here.
Long desks. It's interesting.
Vegetables, raise your left hand. Vegetables, raise your left hand.
You say vegetables?
Yes, very good. And the flowers, all the flowers.
Oh, okay. She's got them in groups already.
All the flowers, nod your head.
Oh, that's fun.
Very good. Dance. Nod your head and dance. Yes, where are the trees? All the trees. Sway your branches. All the trees. Sway your branches. Yes.
This is great. Good. It's a great way to engage students to get them focused on you.
Please,
well, you actually do something similar to that.
Yeah, I do. I do completely.
Yes? Louder, we cannot hear. Very good. Yes, that was very good.
I can tell that the kids are quite aware of the camera at the moment, which might be disadvantaging her a little bit because maybe they're a bit more excitable than they'd normally be.
Yeah, oppositely as well, whenever cameras have been put on them in China, and and they don't really, and it's kind of a formal setting, like they've got their teacher there as well being observed, because they probably have other adults in the room. They tend to be on their better behaviour. So, we'll see how it affects it.
Yeah,
we'll keep it in mind.
I have to say, I'm not keen on the first criticism. Not too keen on the classroom setup. It might be a case that it's not practical at this particular institution to be able to move the desks. but we do have rows.
Yeah.
Which yeah, I mean I've never used rows as in a British Council class. Islands is good for big classes. You know, you have your 4 islands, and you have 5, 5, 4, 4, which would give you a total of 18 students, which I think is more or less what she has, isn't it? She's either got 18 or 20. Either way, four islands would work. And then the other one's obviously the U shape. But I think for a class this size and with primary, I'm not sure that I personally would go for a U shape. I think I'd probably prefer islands. But all right, let's see.
Also, it might not be her choice if she's going into a school.
Yeah, well, that's what I was alluding to. I mean, if these are heavy desks, you can't exactly get these like 7-year-olds or whatever they are. What do you think? They're about 7?
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they do look kind of heavy desks, so maybe it's just not practical to start moving them around.
So, you all enjoyed this grouping? Yes. Did you ask simple questions? Yes. Did you answer your friend's question? Yes, very good.
Oh, so we've missed the warm-up
now
exercise, I
let's
think.
look at a garden. So we have been learning many things about the garden. Shall we get into a garden? Would you like to go into the garden? Yes.
Wow,
So,
go into it.
You know all the things found in a garden, right? Yes. So now I'm going to put up a garden here, okay?
Oh, that's interesting. She's got
Now look at
pre-made
this
stuff.
garden. There are certain parts of things missing in this garden, okay? So now what you will do is discuss in your group and find out the missing parts, okay? Find out what are all missing there in that garden, okay? So after discussing and finding out, when I clap my hands, all of you will stand up from your places, run about the class and try to find the missing parts, okay? The group which finds the most number of parts will be the winners, okay? So let us see which group wins. So I'll just give you a demonstration. So let me search for something. Yes. See, I have found out a part. Yes. So you just remove this strip and paste, okay? So and fix it correctly also. Yeah. How is it? Yes, thank you. How is it? How does it
A
look?
little round of applause.
Good. So now you know how to do it. Find out which are the parts missing. Find out what. Sit in your groups. Yes. Find out what is missing.
This is
Find
good.
out what
This is really
Yeah.
good.
Check which are the things missing.
Actually, I didn't like her instructions. I thought they were over the top and potentially a little bit confusing.
She could be a lot more succinct.
Well, she's kind of given them all this stuff about. Well, first of all, I find it funny when she said you run around the classroom. I noticed this video is a little bit old. I kind of feel like the British Council today would steer away from that, from the ideas of kids like running into the edge of desks and like bashing their head on it and stuff, right? So I
Yeah.
don't think she'd say. I'm not sure if she'd say run, especially in that classroom where there's all those desks are in the way. But also she's kind of told them all this stuff about like going around the classroom and finding these things, but they're not onto that stage yet. So that's why some of them started to stand up. 'Cause they
Exactly.
were starting to do what she was saying.
They're already trying to find the things rather than
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and she even demoed it.
Yeah.
And then she said, "Stay sat down and work out what's missing." Right. So why couldn't she have just said, "Oh look, here's a garden. There's some things missing. Talk together. What's missing?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then worry
no, it's
about
true.
all the other stuff next.
Yeah. It's
So,
a very good
yeah,
point.
yeah. That's my critical observation.
But I do like the activity.
Yeah.
The grouping, discussing what's missing, and then you can bring that. Then you kind of have like what it does, especially with I don't have much history with India, but with Asia, there's often this idea of face. So you don't want kids, not as much with kids, but a little bit, you get a bit hesitant to put up the hand because you don't want to say the wrong thing. But one way to get around that is before doing an activity where they talk with their friends, and their friend says the same thing, and they've got a couple of other friends that are like, yeah, I think this is the answer. When it comes back to the group, they're going to be a lot more confident to raise their hand and try to give that answer, because it's already kind of been like peer checked in a way. So I think it's a good way to kind of take away any sort of shyness and quietness in the class as well.
Yep. Okay.
Yes. Yes, yes.
There they are. Oh, one kid's down. Another kid's down.
Come
Is
on,
there a
stretch
fight?
and fit.
There's a fight at the back. No, I'm joking.
Big
That kid's
time.
running across tables. That's not good.
I don't think this running thing works in. Okay. Right. So here is how I would do this. I would say one person from each group stands up, goes and finds a missing thing, goes to the front, stamps it, goes back to the group, tags the next person, then the next person gets up. So it's like you only have one person standing up from each group at each time. So there's 4 people standing up in the class total. So that's going to enable the teacher to monitor them as they're running around and smashing into the tables, right? Probably I wouldn't have used the word run, but maybe they'll kind of run anyway. Okay, the kids, I don't believe in going too crazy with health and safety, but if you've just got 4 of them, that's a lot more manageable than the whole class, because there's no way she can keep an eye on what everyone's doing there. Like you said, there was like a couple of
There's literally a kid just jumping on the tables across. Yeah, I think what you've just described is technically known as the Crystal Maze method, where you I just made that shit up. Remember there was a game show, Crystal Maze, and there was only one person allowed within the challenge, and they had to decide in the group who would be best to do that. But basically, yeah, I like to call it that because it's funny, and obviously you're the
that works.
Richard O'Brien.
Yeah,
of
that'll be the idea. Yeah, that'd be the idea, right? And the idea, and you have to make it clear that there's certain things. See, this is where I go back to instructions again, because instantly, when I think about that, I think about the kind of the instruction checking questions and stuff that I'd be using in that situation, because I know that kids are going to get it wrong and they're going to mess it up, and you need that. And she didn't do any of those kind of things. I would be going through my head and I'd be like, okay, so how many people stand up from each group at each time? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it, it's 1? Okay. And then when you find something, what do you do? Okay, you do that. And then you go back to your group, right? And then does the same person go to get the next one? No, right? Because that person has to sit down, so a different person goes, right? So and you have to really be very clear about all of those things, because otherwise you're definitely going to get a group where 1 or 2 of the people just sit there and maybe the other 3 actually do the activity, right?
Yeah.
So you have to make it very clear that everyone in the group needs to stand up at some point, and all of those things. And that's why instructions are critical. And it kind of surprised me actually that her instructions were the way they were, because it is something that the British Council kind of drill into you. I mean, if anything, I got it from them, this idea of instructions. So there you go. But okay. Are we ready?
No, I was just gonna carry on from what you were saying, and I think one of the things that with teaching is there's so many you're spinning so many plates, and maybe she just forgot this, or maybe she doesn't do it anyway. It's by the by. I think one of a good thing to have, and it takes time to keep it in your mind mentally, but you almost have a mental checklist, right? when you're going through your lessons. This is this stage. Did I do the ICQs? Okay, now we can move on to the activity. Then we do the thing after. Blah 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 blah. And it's like check 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 check. There's a great book out there. I can't remember the author, but it's called Checklist Manifesto. And you know, I'd highly recommend you read it if you are a teacher, because one of the things that it does is it helps, you know, doctors, pilots, they use these because there's so many balls, so many plates spinning that they can't always remember them, but each step is integral. So, you know, having a mental checklist. But even what I used to do when I was first started teaching is I would just have a post-it note, and I'd have it at the side of my board with all the steps, you know, bullet points of all the steps of the things that I want to remember, that I'm to go through the class. And I did that for a long time, and I still go back to it if I'm doing a kind of a complex class, and I'm like, I need to remember these stages because it's so important. But something like that, you know, I'm not comparing teaching to, well, I'm trying not to compare teaching to, you know, like flying a plane or doing surgery. But, you know, there are steps that are very, very important, as you point out, because, I mean, here it worked out fine, but easily that kid could have just jumped between those two chairs, smacked his head, and, you know, the parents sued the school, and, you know, that's their livelihood gone, because maybe they, you know, it completely erased, you know, all their profits or whatever. So, you know, it's the little details, I feel, that, you know, are what make the biggest changes.
Yeah, I mean, the example you give there is of like a critical failure, you know, where the kid's safety is damaged. But I still think there's been a failure in learning rationale here.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, I mean, I used the, you know, dramatic extreme example, but, you know, what you say, if that happens more than a couple of times, even if it's just these little ones, it might block them from learning something at a specific stage that's needed. You know, they accumulate.
Yeah, and also, you know, I'd argue that I think probably, I'm going to say about 50% of the class are not really engaged in this activity because of the way she set it up. I just don't think there's physically the room that even 100% of them could be involved, because, you know, it's crowded around where they're sticking those things on already. But I guess you could argue, well, it's just a quick, it's a stirrer, isn't it? It's a quick stirrer. So we'll see where it goes from here. But
Sure.
Again, as you kind of mentioned before about, well, you know, does she do that normally, or did she just forget it? I don't think did she just forget it is an excuse here, because, like you say, that, like we talked about before, the standards that the British Council would hold their teachers to in an observation, well, you've got to expect at least that in a video, right?
Yeah.
And in an observation, whoever is the observer would definitely mention this. So it would definitely come up. Not that I would say it's like a critical fail, you're sacked, you know, no, not quite that, but it's something that an observer would absolutely mention. They would definitely talk about her instructions and also question the way that this activity has has kind of been ran.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Okay.
If you have fixed it, you can find the other parts.
It's lovely materials, though, aren't they? Really,
Yes.
Lots of
Really
preparation.
yeah.
Fantastic. You know, I
fun
I
materials.
thought that she might be drawing stuff and just kind of stood there drawing while they're waiting around, but having all this prepared is brilliant.
It's not there. It's not there. So it's in some other. Not inside the bag. Search, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why it's kind of a fun idea, but I also just, the health and safety bells are going off in my head as I see kids.
Also, I see practicalities as issues as well. Like all my classes in public school in China, for example, they're already full of students. So when I come into them, they're completely full. How would I set that up?
Tables, that's definitely not.
Yeah.
Fixed all
No.
the parts, you can take your places. What is it? No, you have taken something. It's not, no. That's not in the game. Yes? Yes, have you finished? Yes. You all went into the garden? Yes. You all enjoyed? Yes. So now, have you fixed all the parts?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So from this team, what team is it? What are you all? Trees? What are you?
Vegetables.
Vegetables, yes. How many pictures did you fix?
I feel like she probably doesn't need to shout quite as well, not shout, but you know, she probably doesn't need to speak quite as loudly as what she's speaking. I feel like she's kind of straining her voice a bit. I know this is something that teachers do all the time, you know, and I definitely do it as well. But it's always good to kind of check yourself a bit with it. I think, you know, as long as your class is being quiet, you don't really need to say things that loud. I mean, one thing that we used to do a lot of, I used to do a lot with primary in Vietnam, is basically in any stage like this, you get them all at the front, just sat on the floor, you know, and you're on the chair at the, you know, by the board, and you know, so that activity would finish, and then it'd be like, okay, everyone on the floor, right, and you just get them to sit in a little semicircle on the floor, and then you can speak to them really without having to do what she's doing now, which is like, okay, what happened then, you know. And it's like, it doesn't take too much of that before you start to, you know, damage your voice, or, you know, get sore throats and things like that.
Yeah, but with the setup that she has, I'm not sure she'd be able to do that anyway.
Difficult to say. It's possible that they could fit at the front there. I'll have to have another look in a minute. But yeah, you might be right.
Fix. What all? What? Show me. Yes? This bird. One. Then you fix the, what is it? What is that? Beehive. It is beehive. Okay, next. This bird also. Okay. So 2 birds and the beehive. Okay, very good. 3 parts they have fixed. Yes, what are you? Where are the trees? You are the trees? Okay, which one did you fix? How many did you
I think
find
maybe
out?
she's a bit nervous as
Only
well.
one? Yes, which one?
Yeah. You know what's interesting is, I mean, I think she's got her class quite well trained here, because it's funny, because she's saying, okay, which one did you fix? And then she'll wave to the group, and she didn't nominate. The group nominated. The other kids, like, if you see the little girl next to this one kind of moved over and tapped her on the shoulder and said, oh, you go. So they know that only one person should be getting up and going to the front to do
Yeah.
it, right? So that's something she's obviously trained them in. So that's pretty good. You know, I mean, those kind of subtle things come out, and they show you, you know, that someone kind of does know what they're doing as a teacher when they have those kind of things in place.
Yeah, it's a good indicator.
Mango. Yes. Tell, what did you fix? Mango. Yes, very good. Yes. Who are you all? Birds. What did you fix? Birds. One of you. This bird. Then? Those 2 birds. Okay, good. Huh? Which one? Tomato. Yes, tomato and 2 birds. Okay, 3 parts. Okay, good. And what about you? Which group is this? Flowers. Yes. Flower, rose. Tap. What is it? Tap. Then? Only 2. Okay? Yes. Good. Get back.
Get back.
So,
Get
which
back.
is the winning team? I think there are
I'll
2
be
winning
back.
teams. Yes. So the vegetables and the birds have fixed 3 pictures each. Yes. Give them a big hand. Yes. Sit down. Now, do you know the game Noughts and Crosses? Yes. Shall we play it now? Yes. So, but before playing, let me check whether you know the game. Now, what is this? What is? It's a grid. It's a? Grid. Very good. How many squares are there? 9 squares. Yes. So, when you give the right answer, what do you get? Knots? Yes. Can you draw? Can you draw a knot? Yes. Can you draw a cross? Good. Yes. Now, how do you win the game? How do you win the game? Can anyone show me? Yes?
I'm totally confused.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know if they've skipped a part or something like that. But I kind of feel like, well, I was wanting to know where they were going to go, or where she was going to go after that exercise. You know, I thought
Well,
there
we're
would
going to
be.
talk about the mangoes and the
Yeah,
beehives.
because
and
she
everything.
kept saying, "Oh, you got 2 birds, 3 birds." I was like, "Oh, are they going to talk about what kind of birds they are?" Or, you know, kind of started to explore that language, or you know, at least kind of label as something. But
Yeah.
we're going into Noughts and Crosses. I'm not sure how.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a horrible feeling that we're just going to get like a showcase of little mini classroom activities,
Oh, really? Okay.
which would be a shame. But let's see.
Yes. So how do you win the game? When you get 3 knots or 3 crosses in a row. Yes. So do you win the game only when you get it in the center? No. You can get it anywhere. Yes. So now, shall we start the game? Yes. So now you are going to play it in 2 groups and you are going to frame questions and ask the other team. Okay? So this is team A and this is team B. Team A will ask questions to team B and team B will ask questions to team A.
So this is an activity she's clearly done before, because otherwise I don't think the kids would understand what she's talking about. I'm sure that she's done it before, and that's why they're kind of following her. But again, I don't like her instructions. Obviously, British Council India were not focusing on instruction checking around this time.
No,
maybe
but
it's
also,
something
you
that-
know, the instructions she's giving is how to do Noughts and Crosses, where, you know, and I agree with you, she's done this before, so they seem ready. So, you know, they've missed out on the instructions for doing this whole framing question answer thing that she's about to do as well. So she should, if this was a class, she should be, and this is demonstration class for, you know, to help maybe new teachers, she should have been demonstrating all the points, I guess.
Yeah, well, definitely the focus should be on the because this is obviously the meaty bit, right? I mean, this is actually making it sound like an interesting game where
Yeah.
they're going to ask questions which are probably going to be related to the language in some way,
Which is
So we're
more
actually
important than
right? Yeah, I mean,
the
who the
noughts
hell
and
ca-
crosses.
noughts and crosses? Probably everyone knows how to play noughts and crosses anyway. You know, did you really need to check that? But anyway, let's see how it comes off.
Or even, instead of doing the instructions that she did there, like, do you know how to do Noughts and Crosses? Yes. Okay. Blah blah blah. Stand up. Show me. Tell me. Or, you know, like, have them at least explain it, whereas she's kind of going through it step by step. You know.
I've never met a child anywhere in the world who doesn't know how to do noughts and crosses. They might not know that it's called noughts and crosses, but I don't know. I've never had that experience.
Yeah. It's a weird one to feel the need to explain. Hey ho.
So I'll give you 2 minutes time. Take your books, discuss in 4 groups. Okay, these 2 rows and those 2 rows, those 2 rows together, and these 2 rows together. You will discuss, frame questions, and get back quick.
Frame questions about what? Asking about the garden. I presume that is something to do with the garden. You know,
Yeah.
what is she given us structures? Are they going to use can, what, where? You know, the question
Yeah.
words or descriptors.
We are missing things, aren't we?
Yeah.
And also, I can see that they've got books open and stuff. So yeah, I wonder if this video was done as like kind of a promo thing for parents to watch and be like, hey, look at your kids doing
We just
stuff."
play games all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, right. And the kids love it, and rather than something for teachers to watch. I think
Yeah.
it said something in the description though about training or something. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's very
That's
confusing.
cutting it off at the knees if it's for training, because you'll probably have a teacher going in going, oh yeah, I can play noughts and crosses, and then just explaining noughts and crosses, and then going, why is this not working?
Yeah.
Why are they not
Yeah.
putting themselves into groups? Why are they not asking questions?
Yeah, right.
Why do they not know
I
how
mean,
to ask questions or
if we're-
frame
if we're-
questions?
if we're not clear on what to do, then there's no way that those kids would have been clear without something extra going on.
Yeah, it's such a shame.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. And I had another comment as well, but I can't remember what I was going to do now. Yeah.
Well, we can keep watching if you
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, I know now. It was that she she did her instructions, and at the end of her instructions she said, okay, go quickly. So right, that's a terrible thing to say as a teacher. What you should say is 3 minutes, right, or whatever, 5 minutes, 10
Yeah.
minutes. Tell them how long they have, right? Quickly doesn't mean anything. Quickly could mean 30 seconds, or it could mean 10 minutes. It's totally it's totally what do you call it, subjective.
Yeah.
So yeah, give them the time constraint, and actually really you should be given a time constraint after every activity. I admit that I don't, because sometimes you kind of want it to be a bit looser, sort of see how they get into it. Whereas if you kind of stamped something and said 10 minutes, and then you see that the activity fizzles out after 2 minutes, then
You're in a
you kind of
bind.
put-
Yeah. You're
well,
kind
you put yourself in a corner, because
Yeah.
there might be one group over there where you say, okay, everybody stop now, and they're like, hey, what happened to the 10 minutes? So it's true, but for something like that, when she said quickly, I think she definitely should have given them a time constraint.
Yeah, definitely. I really wish I'd had seen all the instructions before, because they're really engaged with it.
Yes, have you framed the questions? Yes.
Yeah, they were outstandingly engaged, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like they weren't just engaged, but like there was all kinds of conversation going on as well. It was like, it was kind of a shame we couldn't hear that, because if that was in English as well, and
Yeah.
that's some brilliant task-based learning going on. So
Yeah.
that's the really interesting part, and we don't know what's happened.
Yeah.
How are you going to play it? Are you going to play it as a whole class? No. How are you?
Just doing
then?
ICQs. Are you going to play it as a whole class? No. Okay, great.
In two groups, yes. So are you going to ask them questions?
Yes.
Are you ready to ask them questions?
How weird that she's decided to do ICQs now, and they're great, but like it didn't come up before. Do you reckon like while they were filming that segment, like someone else in the room kind of
Pulled her
said to
aside.
her, "Oh, yeah, do ICQs for the next, next activity." Oh, no way.
I don't know. What maybe I was gonna say that maybe they accidentally cut out the ICQs, because they obviously
The other
have
one?
chopped other
Edited
stuff off.
it,
Yeah. I don't know.
I think that would be quite charitable, but maybe.
Yes. So one of you, Rakshana, come and draw a grid.
Yeah, they've obviously done this before.
Is it correct? Yes, good. Good.
Even assigning the numbers. So, do you know they can say, oh, square 1 or square 2?
Yes. So, will you answer together? Then? Will you raise your hand if you know the answer? Yes. If you know the answer, you will raise your hand, okay? So one
Going
at a time.
ICT
Yes.
crazy now.
You will do what?
Will you raise your hand?
Process. Good. Shall
Will
we
you
start with
shout? No.
knots? Yes. Knots. Start. Which number do you want? 5. Yes. Ask.
What's the stand for? Digging ground.
Yes. Come.
Digging ground.
Is it correct? Good. 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 Yes. Now
What are the tools we need?
we use in the garden.
A spade, a hoe, and a crowbar.
Hoe.
Hoe and a crowbar are used the tools.
Are the tools used in the
Garden.
garden. Very good. Which number do you want? Yes. So good. Yes, next.
What is the use of green?
What is the use of greens?
It is good for health.
Yes, they are good for health. Very good. So which is the number you want? Which number do you want?
One.
1. Yes. Yes, good. Yes, next. Yes.
What the spade for?
What is it?
What the spade?
What is the spade used for? Already asked. Yes. Some other question. Don't repeat.
Crowbar used.
What is the crowbar?
It's for digging pits.
Very good. Is it correct?
Yes.
Which is the
The
number
crowbar?
you want?
I think that's what they said, yeah.
I
What's the crowbar used for? It's for opening crates.
So good.
thought she
That's what they
said.
said as well,
I
yeah.
thought they said digging.
The next question. Yes, Vasan.
What did they buy in the nursery? They bought coconut samplings, tomato, chili, and bean seeds.
Is it right? Yes, good. Which is the number you want?
Yeah, we're missing something
6.
here, aren't we? This
Yeah.
is obviously language that I think has come from the book or something. Because
Yes, good.
it feels
So
like
the
we're
next
missing
question?
context.
Yeah.
What's the hoe used for?
Hoe.
Hoe is for.
Yes.
It's for removing weeds and loosening the soil.
It's
Yes,
for.
correct.
Is it correct? Good. Good. Which number do you want? Somebody else? Can I have somebody else? Yes.
That poor kid, he just clambered over, clambered his way to the outside, and she's like, no, somebody
the-
else.
Butt shuffle.
So very good. Next. Yes. The next question.
What is the use of kitchen garden?
Very good. Yes. Somebody else? Can I? Yes.
It use
Ah.
used for vegetables.
It gives us
It gives us vegetables.
yes, vegetables, fresh vegetables.
Fresh vegetables.
Yes, is it correct?
Yeah.
Yes, the answer is right. Which number do you want? Which number do you want?
You know, they don't actually need the numbers, do they? Because it's just you ask a question. if
Yeah,
you get it right, you
this
just go
whole
up and-
walking to the board, I thought, she would say the number so they can,
Yeah.
they can say the numbers and she can do it without having to get someone up because it's kind of a waste of time in a way.
Well, that's one way, and the other thing is sometimes you can do this numbered thing, and each number corresponds to a different question that the teacher already has prepared.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you want number 9? Okay, the question is, then the teacher will read the question. Other than that, I don't really think that they need to have the numbers there, do they? You could just
No,
have
not
it
if
all.
they're walking up to do it like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with the walking up to the board. I mean, they want to do it, don't they?
Yeah,
Kids like.
I'm happy
like
for them
that.
to do that.
Yeah.
It just it takes away a little bit of time that you could use elsewhere, but
Yeah.
I prefer to have kids kind of walking around and moving as much as I can anyway.
Yeah, and at least this is a safe one.
Yes.
unlike before when they were rugby
hurdling
in the tables. yeah, they definitely would have frowned on that at the British Council where I worked.
Yes, good. Yes, the next question.
Where do we plan the drumstick cutting? Left corner.
In the?
In the left corner.
Very good. Which number do you want?
3.
3. Okay, good. Good. So now it's the last question. Who's going to ask? Yes?
What's James' idea?
What was James's idea? Yes?
James's.
Yes?
Who's James?
Who's James?
James said
Bond.
kitchen garden.
James Bond.
James's idea was to
James
raise a kitchen garden. Kitchen garden. Very good. Which number do you? Yes, there's only one number left out. Yes. So who has won the game? Yes. So both the teams have played the game very well. Yes. So both of you.
Of course,
So
it's a
that was
draw.
really very nice.
Oh, it's always a
You
draw
all
unless
asked
someone's an
the
idiot.
questions very well and you played the game very well. That was really good. And see, we have been learning about garden and playing many games and activities. Yes. Now, would you like to have your own garden? Yes.
Okay.
Would you like to
Where
have
are we
your
going
own
with this?
garden? Yes. Just imagine that you have your own garden. Okay. So think what all you will have in your garden. Okay. And can you put it in picture? Can you draw a picture
I
of
like
your
it.
garden and bring it tomorrow? Yes. So
Oh.
that is your homework.
Damn.
Okay.
Why is it tomorrow?
Draw it and bring it tomorrow. You also write 5 sentences about your garden. Is it clear?
Yes.
So, will you do it? So, let us
Is it clear is a terrible thing to say as well. But I know we all do that as well. That thing of like, any questions or do you
Right,
understand?
yeah.
All of those questions are terrible. But okay. But that again, that would be pointed out in an OBS, and I've had it done to me, when if I say, do you understand? Everyone get that? It's like that question is pointless.
Yeah.
If you want to know if they understand, you have to check, and you have to do that by asking. So how many sentences are you gonna write?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do you
She's-
need to write
she's-
sentences or write sentences or punch someone in the face?
What I don't get is this is homework. So is she going to do another activity after this?
Yeah,
or-
it seems like there's a lot of time left.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
see whose garden is going to be very beautiful. Shall we see? Yes, very good. So, you all really did a very good work today in this class. So, that was really good. Thank you, children.
How did you like the lesson? What do you feel about it?
Yeah, I really feel great. I think I did a good job. I was able to carry out all the activities very well with the students, and
But did they learn?
students also enjoyed the activities very much. So that was really good.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I know-
that is a standard way that classroom ops feedback starts. It almost always starts with, talk me through the lesson. What do you think went well? What do you think didn't go so well? That is it's like feedback 101 for English language teachers. I wasn't particularly keen on her response, though. I mean, as I said, we have already come up with a few criticisms, but also I think to be able to say that, like when someone says, "How do you feel that go?" You just go, I think it went perfect. I don't think any, really, you should almost never be doing that, right? I mean, part of the thing of being a good teacher is starting to get that self-reflection and, thinking about where things could be better. And they always couldn't they? I mean, no lesson is absolutely perfect. Anyway.
Notice, students were quite involved, and I think the activities are very well planned, good work. I also enjoyed the garden, the visual, creations here. I think you must have put in a lot of hard work behind it. Good, and you were quite relaxed and very confident. So that is very good.
What about her clothing?
And the activities were also very well planned.
Jeez.
Now, I just want to ask you, if you're given another chance to do the same lesson,
Okay, here we go.
would it be different, or would you do in the same way?
Moving out of the Love Fest.
Actually, I will try to make it different because if you see initially in the apple tree activity, I gave the children the clues and they had to come forward, pick out the apples with the right answers like beetroot, carrot, grass, axe,
Yeah, we missed
etc.
that.
And they had to go and fix it in the apple tree. So what I could have done is I could have used some realia where the children could touch and feel the beetroot and they can pinch the beetroot and see the pink color. They can take the carrot and grass and all, so that would be more learner centered. And one more thing I could have done is in the post reading activity where the children were fixing the missing parts. Actually, the demonstration was done by me.
Yes, I noticed it.
Yeah, I could have made the children do it. So that would have been better.
I think
It's funny that she just said that because it's true. I mean, that thought did cross my mind as well when she did that demo. But the main thing about that, as we pointed out, is that she demoed it and then gave them a completely different task, which didn't involve doing that until afterwards. She gave them that whole framing questions thing. I can't believe that isn't coming up in feedback.
Well, it was just a Love Fest at the beginning. She's just like, oh, he's had nice energy.
Yeah,
I
mean,
really like
that
the twinkle you had in your eye.
Yeah, that might be, the compliment sandwich thing, that, you kind of say something good and then give some negative feedback and then say something good at the end. I don't know if you've ever heard about
No,
that.
I've heard about that, but I'm still waiting for the meat.
Still waiting.
I want my meat, man.
Let's have a look. Yeah.
all these learnings, about making it more learner centered and cutting our, it's very good, and it's very important. Every time we have a reflection and review whatever we have done, we find out things we need to, improve and everything. That's what makes the job of a teacher very satisfying. Thanks, thank you, Bhuvneshwari. It was really wonderful to have you with us, and thank you for allowing us to film your lesson. Thanks so much.
Propaganda, bullshit. What?
Okay, so
What's that?
So we've got a bonus, 5-minute bonus at the end there. No. just
Oh,
to
is he
comment on
asking
that,
what the
you're
kids?
absolutely- Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah, man. What
yeah,
they thought about the lesson.
Just our comments about that. I totally agree with you. Yeah, I mean I'm sorry that there's something wrong with that feedback. It shouldn't have been that glowing at all, and I don't feel bad about saying that. Like I say, I've taught at the British Council. I've had lesson observations. I've had negative feedback and positive feedback, right? And I trained as a tutor for the TILEC, and I gave feedback as well. So I kind of know sort of where the standard is, and even when lessons are passes and all the rest of it, you still have plenty of things to say about it. It's not all just, oh, well done, fantastic, great, pat on the back. Now, I don't know if it's because of the filming, and because, they're just so happy that she volunteered to do the filming, or whether it's a cultural thing, because both of those teachers seem like they were sort of native from India, right?
Yeah.
But either way, I don't think it sets a particularly good example in material that may well be intended to demonstrate to teachers what a classroom obs is like, that you've got obvious areas for improvement that aren't mentioned in the feedback, because then if someone goes and gets another lesson obs and doesn't get the kind of feedback that she just got, then they're might feel a little bit hard done by, because it's like, well, what happened there? How come they got glowing praise, and now you're telling me to do things that I saw in that lesson weren't,
You don't grow from praise. It's there's this idea, I think it's more in business, is that you should fail fast, in that you make a lot of mistakes so you have the opportunities to learn, because that's what mistakes are. They're just opportunities to learn. It's not a reflection on how good you are as a person, maybe just on your skill set. But then if you reflect on those mistakes, or you change them, you adapt them, you improve, then it only improves not only your skill set, but it will in turn improve you and your approach, because you start to be more competent. Competence breeds confidence, and that's kind of what we're talking about with good teachers, is they're just really confident because they're really competent. And by just giving praise, I mean, it's great because you want to keep people moving on and continuing to be a teacher and not to kind of divert from that path. But also you have to kind of, I think, realize that you want it to be people that want teachers generally want to be there anyway, so they kind of expect a bit of negative, a bit of feedback that's not a little bit critical. It's just such a shame, because it's such a missed opportunity, because she's obviously really good.
I agree. And it's not. It seemed a bit pointless, didn't it, to give her all that positive, all of that praise, because, like you say, she probably didn't need it, not all of it. I'm sure she could have taken a little bit of criticism, but okay.
I mean, as well is if you were to explain it in the way that you've done earlier in the video, of what the use is of doing something like the ICQ, how that would be better, and how that would have led to these kids not hurdling tables, for example, I think people generally would kind of accept that and go, actually, yeah, I'm all right with that, because it's not, you're not there's one of the issues with giving feedback, and often that's probably why people don't like getting feedback, is the feedback's geared too personally, where you've got to really focus on this one activity, an external thing that's not intrinsic to the person. You'd be like, oh, you got bad energy, that's shit feedback. But if you just say, this activity, if you did this would improve it, and it was not you the problem, it was just this tweak of this activity that you just need to do.
I think it's giving feedback is definitely not an easy thing to do. It's definitely something that's tough. And by no means saying that it's an easy job, because some people have given me good feedback, and sometimes I've had feedback that hasn't felt so good, and it's difficult to really kind of pin down why that is, because I have reasons in my head why I think it is. Like I really dislike the idea of prescriptive feedback, which is kind of like, this didn't go quite so well, you need to do this. And I don't, that has never seemed a good thing for me, because it's a prescriptive method of teaching. You don't want to prescribe to your teachers things that they must do. There are various ways of solving problems. Like I'll give an example. One time, my ICQs were criticized for being like open-ended, and it didn't. The funny thing about this is it didn't actually cause any problems in the class. Like there wasn't any, when I was asking the ICQs, it wasn't like the students didn't get it and didn't respond to them. But in feedback, I got criticized for it. And it's like, ICQ should always be either or, because otherwise you're overcomplicating it, And literally, the guy giving me this feedback gave the example of saying, are you going to write it with a, you can just say stuff like, are you going to write it with a pen or a banana, and like stuff like that. And he was actually arguing for that, to say that that's what ICQ should be, and the irony of that, which bothered me quite a lot at the time, was that for my teaching diploma that I'd completed the year before, for one of the projects, you do 3 projects for your teaching diploma. I'd actually focused on ICQs techniques, and I'd looked at 10 different ways of giving ICQs, and one of them was closed questions. But I looked at 9 others, you know.
Yeah.
And actually, the conclusion of my research was that you know, there isn't one way of doing it, and they all seem to work in some way or another. It's just that, and they had pros and cons. You know, yeah, either or questions do have that pro that, you know, there's less chance they're going to get it wrong, or it makes it kind of simpler. But sometimes that means that you're not necessarily checking anything. I would argue that asking someone the question, are you going to write it with a pen or a banana, is completely unnecessary. You might as well just repeat yourself and say, write it with a pen, because that's all that question's doing. It's just repeating yourself. You know, the students don't have to think to actually think, am I going to write it with a pen or a banana? You know, or
Exactly.
am I gonna talk with a partner or punch a partner in the face? You know, it's, it doesn't tell them anything. So I don't agree that ICQs should be obvious, because if they are obvious, then they're not checking anything.
Yeah.
They're just repeating the instructions. And if you want to repeat the instructions, well, I investigated some options for doing that when I did my project, and it does work. There are ways of doing it. Like, for example, you tell the students, you do something like a kind of a dictation where you say, right, I'm going to give you these instructions twice. Okay. Don't write anything, just listen. And then I want you to say the instructions to your partner exactly as you remember. Right? So then they really focus, because they try to get the words as well. You know, try to remember the words I use, right? And then you do the dictation twice, and you have this kind of intense listening where they're really focused because they're trying to remember all the words, right? It's kind of like a game, right? That's a way of doing instructions. That's a way of doing instruction checking. You know, and that, I think that works quite well. You know, when I've used it just uses quite a lot of time compared to other ways of doing things. But then there's other rationales for doing it, because it's got this learner engagement and all the rest of it. But anyway, the point is that feedback is not easy to give.
No, there's, I mean, like from your example, there's an obvious disconnect with the feedback and the competence of the feedback. You know, maybe that person just, you know, was not as knowledgeable as you. So I think that's fair, but it's also good to reflect on I mean, in developmental psychology, they call it the counter will, which is that feeling that you have when you have someone with authority telling you what to do. There's this automatic, you know, I know, you know, sort of thing. And with certain aspects with people, it's triggered, you know, especially if, say, someone's anxious, for example. But so you kind of have to balance that. You're like, well, is this person giving me good feedback in that they're giving me competent feedback, or, you know, if I'm feeling bad about this feedback, is it to do with, you know, this counter will? Is it to do with my own issues, in that, you know, like it's bringing up own feelings? So it's kind of it's difficult, as there's so much at play, and we don't even really realize it. But so whatever which way, I think feedback is essential and it's necessary, and I don't feel like if you just give praise, it helps anybody. I mean, you go from I like the idea of the compliment sandwich, because it is centered with the meat being, you know, the actual criticism. If you take away that meat, you've just got an idiot sandwich, and, you know, that's not easily digestible. I don't know what I'm going into meat, the food analogies. I don't know what's happening here.
There should have been some criticism. There should have been some opportunity for growth. Are we going to watch this chap do whatever?
Let's see what it is.
How are you? How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Did you enjoy your English class today?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me why you enjoyed it.
Oh, interesting.
What did you like about it? Yes? What games did you play today?
Hot seat.
Uh-huh.
I like knots and crosses.
Okay.
I found word grid.
The word grid. So can someone tell me what is hot seat?
Hot seat. One person sit in the chair. Miss will be take a chart and write a word.
This is what they should be doing for noughts and crosses.
In my head.
Can you see the word?
No.
No,
Give
okay.
the clues. My friends give the clues. I use the clues and tell the word.
Okay, great. So
I
are
love how
there
this
any
guy,
other
his accent just totally doesn't match how he looks. Do you not think so? Like he looks like this, like kind of sort of hippie, like I don't know, like skateboarding guy. But then when he talks, he's like, "Hello, everybody. How are you doing today?" That's not a criticism. I'm sure he's. I don't know. There's
No, to be honest, I kind of see it because I feel like maybe he's some guy that's he went on a holiday to Goa to kind of discover himself. Got a bit of money from his parents, and he's kind of like going around, and then he kind of fell into this, and he's now in love with teaching, along with himself.
You know what? I actually feel like it's the other way. I feel like he was like suited and booted. And by the way, if you're watching this, Mr. Gentleman in the video, very sorry. Please come on our show and do an interview with us and prove us totally wrong, and don't take anything that we say offence.
Yeah, we're just joking around here.
He's probably like a director of studies by now. I think he was like suited and booted. Went university, did his CELTA, joined the British Council straight away, ended up in India, and then I think the other side came out then. I think it was the India experience that's awoken his spirituality.
Right, okay.
activities that you like doing in your English class?
Found the pictures and paste it into the garden.
That was in today's lesson, right?
Yeah.
What about other lessons? Do you do any other activities that you like? Do you sing songs?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you like singing songs?
Yes.
Anything else?
I like rhymes.
Rhymes. Can you tell me any rhymes that you remember?
I am a tomato, reddish, reddish. I am a tomato, juicy yellow one. I am a potato, brownish, brownish. I am a potato,
Is in his element.
yellow one.
I want to see this guy teach.
I am a carrot, orange, orange.
See, he's pressed play and he's no idea how to turn it off.
I don't think he wants to turn it off.
Greenish, greenish.
It'd be great if you just got out some bongos. They even remember the actions.
So little children, eat us every day. We make you grow strong and smart. We make you grow
Wow.
strong and smart.
They're loving this song, aren't they?
Yeah.
Strong and smart.
Yeah, I agree. Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't expect you all to sing
You
the
were
whole
right.
rhyme, but well done, great. So is there anything else you like doing in English classes? You said songs, rhymes, anything else? Do you ever do any stories?
English stories. Stories.
English stories? Do you like listening to stories or reading, writing stories?
English
He's really good at interacting with the kids.
Reading.
I like it. He's got that kind of just, casual person to he's not sort of treating them too much like
Not
kids.
talking down to them, yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I always think that's a good way. And I don't think we quite saw it with her.
She has a
She was very-
matriarchal vibe. definitely.
She was very teacher student, wasn't she?
Yeah.
That's why I'd really like to see his class, because I imagine, you know, he'd bring this kind of stuff into his class. And my suspicion is that he would be pretty good.
Reading and writing. Okay.
English cartoon.
English cartoons.
English
Sorry?
cinema. English Hollywoods.
English Hollywoods. What's that? English films.
cinema.
English cinema.
English story.
Do you do any acting or miming in classes?
Acting.
Yeah, in your class. Great. Okay, so can I ask you another question?
Yes.
Yes. Do you think it's important to learn English?
Yes.
Yeah? Why? Why?
Because when I grow, I be a collector, so it is very useful to my job.
Okay, very good. Anyone else?
When I grew up, I'm a prime minister. When I go other foreign
Love it.
countries, I will speak in English and I will understand all the foreign countries peoples.
So you'll understand everybody in the world.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so how many of you think that you will need English in the future? Put your hands up. How many of you think you will need English in the future? Yeah? Wow, so you all think you'll need English in the future?
Yeah.
Great, so it's good. So it's very good that you enjoy your English classes then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, they do
Bye.
they do enjoy the English classes. That is clear. I don't think you even with the cameras, I don't think you could necessarily fake that. So there's no doubt that I don't think there's anything left in that video. There's no doubt that they do enjoy it, and that's a big part of it, isn't it? Because as we've ever since our interview with Patrick, really, the theme has been that engagement is paramount.
Yeah, I mean there's so many different ways to do it. He went through a good little list there of songs, rhyme, what you saw them going into, where they're just so into it. Then they remember it as well. The games, the activities, the game activities, the stories, videos, songs, the role plays and acting, all of this sort of stuff. If you kind of put that medley together, you've got the really good concoction for just getting students so involved with learning and really enjoying it. And I don't think you don't have to do that much, because as children they're naturally programmed to be curious, to want to learn. It's just we often the modern world reframes when they're playing that they're not learning, that it's just recreational, and play is the number one way to learn. It's to mess with your your sandbox in a way, and doing those activities that I've just listed and he listed and that we've talked about previously creates more engagement. It's what fires them up. It's what fires the brain up, and it's how we naturally acquire something like a language.
Yep, sounds good to me.
It's just it's such a shame with that particular class that we didn't get to see all parts of the class, because it was propaganda for British Council India, and it's very obvious for that. It's such a shame, because we want to see more great teachers. We want to see that, and we want that on the internet. We want that on YouTube. We want people sharing their classes, because if you're a very good teacher, you feel you're a good teacher, you're getting that feedback, and if you put that on the internet and people can watch you, they can learn, and they can take that from you, and you can learn from them, and they can learn from you, and it's just good. It's win-win for everyone. So it's just a shame that they cut the legs off.
it's interesting. The comments are very glowing. There's quite a lot of comments and lots of people saying it's a fun class and blah 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 blah. But then, interestingly enough, the like to dislike ratio is actually there's quite a lot of dislikes there, which is I'm not quite sure where they're coming from. Because I wouldn't even I wouldn't watch that and then dislike it. Oh my God, it's like offensively propaganda. But yeah, I don't really know what's going on there, because I do think.
Well,
it's an
I think
interesting video.
as a layperson might be watching that and might be going, "Oh, fucking noughts and crosses, one of those teachers again." One of those. Oh, let's throw it against the ball. Come on, kids, run from one side of the room to the other. But when like we pointed out, there's stuff taken out of that video that would have been really important to see how it was a competent, good lesson, and it had better and broader context. Because you can't, if you're a layperson, when you're being screwed. Even if but you just can't put it into words, so that's probably why, in my opinion, they've given the dislike.
Maybe that's what it is, and maybe that would explain why there are quite a lot of positive comments, but no one's been able to articulate what they sort of disliked about it. But I think for me, it was really that feedback point. It was like, I think I could have took the lesson. There was nothing critically wrong with the lesson, but then to just have that feedback and just be like, oh, that was amazing, everything was so, like, what the hell? I don't think I've ever heard of anyone getting feedback like that ever. You don't just you don't just blow smoke up someone's ass when you give them feedback, do you? Even if it's a really good lesson and someone does blow smoke up your ass, they at least can come up with something, and we agree that lesson was definitely not perfect, but there you go.
I mean, it should be the videos. They should title the video as demonstration class or promotion promo class or something like that, just so it's clear in the title.
Well, actually, it says DVD Teacher Training Series 1. So it's definitely not presented as that.
Yeah.
But there you go. So it was certainly interesting, though, wasn't it? Yeah. And I mean, yeah, there are definitely positive things going on there. Mm-hmm. No doubt about that. Classroom of 20 kids. It's not always easy.
No, it's not, and like I said, it's unfortunate that we've missed out on.
Yeah.
Those missing parts, because it would have been a better representation, and it would have been more helpful for teachers and people watching to understand kind of this teaches not just games and fun activities and running around, that they know that there is a broader frame to that. But anyhow, if you were any of those teachers within that video, or just a teacher outside of that video, and you want to come on and talk about your teaching experience, what you agree or disagree about what we say, or maybe you could be a student, you could be someone that's learning English, and you want to ask some questions to us about why do teachers do this or this, what makes a good teacher, or yada 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 yada. If you feel like you've got some skin in the game, send us a message, drop us a comment below, and we'll talk about having you on. We'd love that.
ELTunderthecovers@gmail.com.
Yeah, send those messages through, and we'll get in touch with you. I'm going rhyme.
Oh, that can be the thing. Send those messages through and we'll get in touch with you.
Yeah, it kind of works. Anyway, I'm Neil Teacher, and if you're wanting to get more info on the stuff that I do, you head to www.teamteacherchina.com, where we've got lots of PowerPoint lessons, games that you can use within your classroom. We've got the YouTube channel equivalent of that, Team Teacher China, where we've got lots of teaching videos of me teaching. Some are atrocious, some are not so atrocious. And then we've got Teacher Baby, is my channel where I'm using my teaching experience to help with my child grow up, and he's kind of following me on my parental journey. Team Teacher English, where it's those lessons put into a video form from PowerPoint to a video. You can use them for homework or just homeschool lessons. And we have this channel as well, ELT Under the Covers, on so many different platforms. YouTube, we've got podcast as well on Spotify, on Google, Apple, just all the big boys and girls. And over to you, Rich.
How about has our Netflix contract come through yet? ELT
Netflix. We're working on that.
Season
you know,
1.
we're working on that. Well,
still in negotiations. It's because
Yeah.
they're so cheap. They won't offer us enough. You know, it's
Exactly.
Like you can't get this quality for less than $1 million an episode. Don't get out of bed. For
I
less
totally
than
agree.
$100,000. So you can go youtube.com/Professor Rich for English teaching videos. You got Prof Rich Gaming on YouTube for nothing really. I haven't made a video for that for months, but it's gaming content. And then you have www.britishplease.com, which hopefully by the time this video goes out will actually be a website. You can go to britishplease.com to book me as a teacher potentially, and to access teaching products of some description. It's the worst plug in the world, isn't it? Go to my random website where you can just get random. I don't know what you're going to get.
you're gonna get pleased by British.
I thought I'd mention it almost as a meme at the moment, but yeah, we'll see. It's my constant meme of that I'm always doing stuff, but nothing actually gets done. Like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. Especially, you know what? I'm not going to say especially anything. Just share with whatever. Post us on Reddit. Go to your favorite Reddit group. Post us. You know, say, look at this. These guys are funny. It doesn't even have to be about English teaching.
Just share. Remember, share, subscribe, and like. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.